This is RSBANDB Update, episode 622, recorded Thursday, June 8th, 2017. A whole new world. Hello, everybody, and welcome to RSBANDB Update. As you guys have probably gathered, it is a very different time of RuneScape now that we have received the first RuneScape expansion, known as Menaphos. So, okay. I think that sigh is going to sum up exactly what we are going to be talking about for this entire episode, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I don't know. I might be the odd man out here.
Okay.
We'll see.
Well, fingers crossed. Joining us this week is, of course, Tanis, who's been with us through May. Also, bringing him out for this month's Mr. Bistro coverage of Menaphos is Mr. Bistro. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
And also joining us back from last week is Magic King. Thank you for coming back with us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so you can tell that I am trying to pace myself here because, truth be told, we could be here for a very, very long time if we wanted to be discussing Menaphos this week. Yes?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. It's huge.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, this was voted for in the survey last year, right?
This was.
So it ultimately forms RS's first expansion. And I would just like to say that as a reminder to everyone that when expansions were first detailed, the idea between this expansion is that it is going to cover an entire span of content that you would have in 3 months of RS gameplay released in 1 week that is going to take people time to discover and learn through. So That's
Don't say.
Yeah, that's kind of what you and I were trying to hammer home through the month of May, was it not?
Yes, it was.
Now,
Expectations,
exactly. All right. So we're going to break this show up into a couple of segments, and we're also going to break this month up into a couple of segments, and here's how it's going to work. So this week on the show, we're going to discuss the opening of Menaphos with the Jack of Spades quest, the actual city itself, the reputation system in the city, shifting tombs, and 120 Slayer coinciding with the Sophanum Slayer dungeon. That's what we're going to be discussing this week. And for each of the subsequent weeks, we're going to be discussing some of the other quests that were unlocked with Menaphos. There are 4 total quests, including the Jack of Spades. The other 2 quests are Crocodile Tears, Our Man in the North, and Fight Club. Those are the quests that we will be discussing in the subsequent 3 weeks on this podcast, in addition to any other new Menaphos discoveries that we make. But the question is, are we going to be able to unlock Fight Club by the time it is time to record the last episode of June? Only time will tell, and you're going to learn a bit about that on this week's podcast.
Shane, I think you forgot about the first rule.
And what's the first rule?
Well, the first rule of Fight Club is we can't talk about Fight Club.
To be fair, it is spelled Phiteclub, Fight Club.
Okay.
So, okay. Now, we're going to start off with the Jack of Spades, and as this is a quest, I'm going to throw out the standard spoiler warning for this quest, though there aren't really many spoilers inside the Jack of Spades, so I don't think we're going to be harming anyone irrevocably at this
except
point.
for the one Jagex put out a week before the quest we talked about last week.
Yep. So Jack of Spades starts in Al-Kharid, and you discover that Emir Ali Mirza has requested you to be an envoy along with Grand Vizier Hassan to Menaphos to reopen trade to the city, because at this point it has been decided that even though the plague is happening, there does need to be some discussion between the rest of the Caridian Desert and Menaphos. Obviously, we have had access to Sophanum for quite a long time, but anyways, following this, Osmond gives you some information about Menaphos and states that you are not his spy, even though you were his spy last time. So, I found that interesting. What did you guys think about that little nugget right there?
I don't know. Should we trust him?
Yeah. And I mean, it's Osmond. He is definitely kind of a shady character. So. Eventually, you and Hassan will then take a self-piloted magic carpet to Menaphos. This isn't the standard magic carpet because you can actually control this one, which is something Jagex has never let us do. So that was kind of fun. You got to see the reworked desert and how that looks so glorious in NXT. I enjoyed that part.
I wonder if that means they fixed the actual flying carpet code.
I don't know. I haven't taken one. So we'll have to wait.
Yeah, I haven't either. But that was my favorite thing in any quest ever.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool. And you could play with the skybox with it. And
oh, right.
then you could throw on the Aladdin soundtrack. It was good stuff. Oh, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It's a whole new world.
Oh, yeah, that could be the slogan of Menaphos, a whole new world.
There was an Easter egg. If you noticed, if you turned around and asked the guy that was following you, he said, "I'm taking you to a whole new world."
Oh, he did. Okay, then.
Yeah. All
right. That's great. I was never much of a fan of the Aladdin movie in my childhood, but that's just me. So, anyways, once you reach the city, you're greeted by Ambassador Jabri, who brings you and Hassan to the Grand Vizier of Menaphos, who is, of course, named Asen, which you guys are probably hearing from when we were talking about the Golden Path last week. All these names are now familiar. And ultimately, as the negotiations begin, the Jack of Spades appears and steals a tax ledger from Asen. So this is where the quest begins, is that you need to track down the Jack of Spades and recover the items that he has stolen. So you track him throughout the entire city, going from the Ports District to the Great Pyramid to the Workers District down to the Shifting Tombs, and you ultimately confront the Jack of Spades regarding what he's stolen, and it is revealed to us that the Jack of Spades is Ozen. Ozen, of all people, that signature hero. That really didn't surprise me. A little bit of a weird thing going on there, but it's revealed that people, including him, have been looking for the Carid-Ib, which is an artifact from one of the previous desert quests, and it's actually believed to be in Menaphos, if not below it. And then after he informs you of this, he gives you the items that he has stolen, and then you run through the city and return them to the appropriate owners, and this grants you enough reputation to get started in Menaphos. So this is Jagex's way of introducing Menaphos. It was very much, a very basic quest, kind of along the lines of Druidic Ritual or Wolf Whistle for Herblore and Summoning, respectively, except this is for Menaphos. So very quick to do, providing, you are looking and you're not running around blindly like I was doing for a bit. Got confused on the directions a couple times, but I think this is a good point to bring up the topic of the graphics in Menaphos, the cutscenes.
Yeah.
Those are grade A and really shows what NXT is capable of and why everyone should be using NXT if your computer has the capability of doing so. And I think ultimately this is Jagex's most recent showcase of how this looks. And hell, even the desert, as you're moving through the desert, you can see all kinds of things like this great view of the Dominion Tower and whatnot, the Desert Treasure Pyramid and so on and so forth. So I really enjoy this place graphically. How about you guys?
It looks nice.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. After doing the quest, I definitely went ahead and looked at all of Menaphos with the skybox updates too, just to get a feel for how it looks just as a whole.
And, there's something I can actually mention now that was in the patch notes. They added support with Menaphos for volumetric lighting, which actually happens in Menaphos. And basically what this does is it allows you to create the effect of sun rays, even though they are purely simulated. So once again, taking advantage of the skybox and various other positions of the sun in the sky. And, what do you guys think was better, the entrance to Menaphos with the magic carpet and whatnot, or the walk up to Prifdeenus when that first arrived? Just if you had to pick, given based on what you remember.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah. That's
Oh man, but Prif was so different. It was a different thing.
I don't know. I think this one was better.
Yeah, technology-wise at least.
Yeah, on a pure graphics, I would agree. Just, on
Yeah.
a purely graphical level.
And I
yeah,
mean,
I think
Even the-
visually the desert is better. But just that feeling of the first time walking into a major city, really hard to beat Prifdeenus.
yeah.
Yeah, especially when you're getting like escorted through the first section of the city. Gives a little bit of gravitas to how big and amazing it actually is.
Like there's so much elevation in terms of Menaphos. Like the elevation changes as you're moving through it. And, if you showed someone this, they wouldn't really believe that it was RuneScape. So I absolutely love the way the Golden Pyramid looks. And this introduction cutscene, really just sums up the city in itself. And if you run around the city, most buildings are actually enterable. Unfortunately, the vast majority of them you can't go upstairs in, and there's lots of little bridges running between cities and whatnot, so maybe that might be something that could be expanded on in the future. I don't know, but graphically, this is just very top-end work from Jagex, all the way down from, the plants and the tassels hanging off the sheets covering the stalls and whatnot to the new water effects in the sky all the way through. So Menaphos, I think, if we can start keeping a tally here, one thing that is going to be very positive about Menaphos in this update is the graphical appearance of it compared to some of the other stuff in game. So, excellent work and well done. And I think if we were just doing a podcast based on graphics and games, we would stop right here and call this a success, would we not?
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
On to the more controversial.
Yeah, I can we just stay here and look at the graphics a little bit more? I mean, just admire the tile texture on the walls and whatnot, and admire the grain of the wood on the floors and whatnot. Yes? No? Maybe so?
I'm getting scared.
Okay. Well, in that
You guys
case,
are scaring me.
it's time to move on. So, as we knew from Mod Osborne's behind-the-scenes videos on location in an actual desert city, there are 4 districts within Menaphos: the Port District, the Merchant District, the Imperial District, and the Worker District. Each of these has a set of features and contacts that you can use and benefit to gain XP and reputation in the city, and ultimately work to tick off those tasks on the completionist run. So I'm just going to run through some of these, and you guys stop me if you think any of these are absolutely astounding. I'm going to start with the Port District because I think that's where the people are going to be spending the majority of their time. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, poke, poke. So the Port District is headed up by Admiral Wadded, and it contains a fishing shop, 2 fishing locations which offer catfish, desert sole, and beltfish. I never thought we'd see catfish in game, so that's good. I'm actually quite partial to catfish in real life.
Hell yeah.
It's very hard to get a good catfish when you're this far landlocked
I
here.
like throwing them on the ice.
Okay, I get that reference. That's such a waste of a good fish, though. But There's also Port Portal, a sailing ship to access your Ark Islands, furnaces, anvils, spinning wheels, and looms, charter crew members to charter around to the rest of the world, and a ferry to Plivniach and the Sunken Pyramid. So that's what you can access in the Port District.
That's the best part.
Which part?
The ship to your pyramid.
Yeah, we'll talk about that after.
Oh, it's the best part.
Yeah, I think that's what people are truly happy about this update. But so it's worth noting that the skilling in Menaphos is 50s to 70s, and the highest I think we have is around 72 fishing. So keep that in mind when we're talking about this. Max players and people who are maxing are going to not really get that great of an XP reward on Menaphos, but it's something that needs to be done.
And we knew that going in.
Exactly.
We were prepared for that.
Yes, and that is one huge expectation that I think you and I really tried to manage when we were talking through all these behind-the-scenes videos.
Yes.
But, I mean, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Merchant District, that's where we have Assistant Librarian Subotai, who gives the players their Menaphos journal, which allows for teleports to be unlocked and also allows the collectible Jewels of the Elid and Cats of Menaphos collections. You need to get this book before you can start trying to collect these. I spent an hour trying to get one of the jewels, only to discover I didn't grab the book. So that's a very important note right there.
Yeah, I need to get a book. I didn't even know.
Yep. It's a neat little collection thing that, they appear every so often, and they appear on the dock in the Port District, and, you can thieve them, one of them, or some of them might need a spice and so on and so forth from your player-owned ports. I know one of them needs some bamboo from your Ark, so various things that you can do there to collect them. And then there's 4 cats that roam around the 4 various districts that you can tag and collect and note down in your journal as well. The Merchant District also includes the Silk Stall, the Gem Trader, the Lamp Stall, which you might think, I can thieve magic lamps, but no. You thieve the lamp, but then it disappears, and there's a small chance you will be able to keep the lamp for XP. There's also a general store, the Fish Trader, a bread stall, and access to the loyalty shop, so once again, filling up the idea of a hub city. And the Merchant District is also where you'll find the Grand Exchange and Main Bank, which are unlocked after completing Jack of Spades, because that gives you 1,000 reputation in each of the cities, and that unlocks the Main Bank and Grand Exchange. So you don't have to work for that, which is great. Next up is the Imperial District, which contains Acadia trees, a VIP skilling area, which is unlocked at Tier 7 Menaphos, which, as the name suggests, includes skilling nodes for mining, woodcutting, and fishing, I believe, with the various Menaphos resources. This also has the Golden Palace and the Golden Library, which is where the lore competition entries reside, and also the Sundial to complete the Golden Path, which we talked about last week. And I think I'll just mention it now that, did you guys notice on the first day all of the massive broadcasts that were happening for people completing the Golden Path?
They fixed that.
Yeah, that was patched in to be fixed, because every few minutes you were seeing such and such a person has just completed the Golden Path, which, I mean, the answers are all out there now on the internet, so you can just go dial them into the sundial. And once again, there's questions about whether or not this is something that should be done, but we'll save that for a later date. So you can fill in the Golden Path up there. And also of note, the Imperial District is where you can find the lodestone just before you go up to the garden and the Golden Pyramid. So you will want to activate that lodestone.
Also, we should mention the Acadia trees. If you crystallize those, I believe is the best right now.
Oh, you get reputation if you crystallize them.
I don't know about the reputation part, but the XP is actually really good. Okay, and
that's a good idea.
They are an increased simple parts, so they're like a really good source for simple parts, like much better than any other logs.
Okay, that makes sense, because they're a basic log and they're not a special log like teak or mahogany. Then,
right?
Okay. We got to test that to see if the crystallization increases reputation on that. I'm going to note that down. If anyone out there listening knows, please do inform us, but we will endeavor to test that to see if that helps. We could probably also crystallize the fishing spots now that you mention it as well and not need to bank as much, but it's a personal choice. Next up is the worker district. That includes concentrated sandstone and clay, the furnace, anvil, bonfire, and a cooking range. So this is how the city is divided up. And you might be thinking, I need to do stuff in each of these areas to gain reputation. Well, no, that's actually false. What you do is you click on the reputation HUD at the top of your screen, and then you choose an active district or group to support, to align with. And then any XP that you get inside Menaphos will generate reputation for that. And now here's the point of the show where opinions about Menaphos are going to change.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right. So crystallizing does provide reputation.
Does it increase the reputation?
Yes. 300,000 woodcutting experience and 6,000 reputation per hour.
Okay, that's not too bad then.
That's not bad at all.
That's probably the second best source of reputation out there then. As I think fishing was around 5K an hour.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah. Okay. Deep breath, everyone. Okay. So this reputation system is a grind. I think there's no way of putting that out there and ducking around that. I'm just going to rattle off some numbers here and you guys can say what you think. 4,000 reputation unlocks you the Grand Exchange, which of course you get from the first quest. 19,800 unlocks the next quest, Crocodile Tears. 66,000 gives you a Shifting Tombs feather buff and gold buff from inside Shifting Tombs. 99,000 unlocks the Our Man of the North quest, and 141,900 gives you a chance to save a feather of Madet while doing Slayer and in the VIP skilling area. And finally, at 254,100 reputation, you unlock the Fight Club quest. 254,100. And at 6,000 XP per hour, like we just said, that's 42 hours of gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to take a little while.
It certainly is.
But what's to say that these new quests also don't give you a heap of reputation on completion?
Oh, they give you a bit, but nothing that's going to, jump you out all the way through. As a matter of fact, the Crocodile Tears quest gives a very small amount of reputation. Let me just look it up in here and see what it is. Crocodile Tears gives you 5,500 reputation in a chosen faction.
Although now with the Soul Obelisk, it seems like it's going to be a bit easier to get that now.
Yes, and I think that is something that we should also discuss here. Just one moment. Our Man of the North also gives you 5,500, so you get 10,000 rep for doing the 2 intermediate quests. So Soul Obelisks were something that they added the day after Menaphos, and I think it was unlocked by the amount of people participating in Slayer, if I recall. That's what unlocked the Soul Obelisks. So these are little obelisks that appear randomly around Menaphos. They're different on each world. There's no set pattern to them, I don't think. But a Friends chat has emerged to hunt them out and let people know where they are. That's called Soul Lobby FC. And you can basically go siphon one of these soul obelisks or multiple of them a day and gain basically 20,000 free reputation XP per day. So they're very quick. Probably about an hour, I'd say, to siphon out 20,000 XP from them in total.
That's about right.
Yeah. So you're not going to get it from one obelisk, but through a couple of them, you will get your 20,000 per day. So once again, that's a nice little pick-me-up to get you on the way to doing that. If you did, just purely soul obelisk doing that, you'd get it done in a little over 12 days. So it's not too bad in that regard. It can be done I don't want to say in an AFK format because you do take a lot of damage when you're doing this. So obviously you want to have an inventory of food when you're doing this, because I actually saw someone die while siphoning one of these. Yeah, they damage you, and they'll take you down around 600 or 500 life points each time it hits you. So, very funny to see that. But each of the districts also has reputations, and at various levels you unlock the bank deposit box at 6,000, the faction head override at 18,000, a district teleport at 36,000, faction leg 60,000, a bank chest at 90,000, the faction body at 129k, a scaling boost for that district at 177, of the district title at 231,000, and at 300,000 a district magic carpet pet. So, in total, we're looking at roughly 1.5 million reputation to complete Menaphos.
1.2.
Oh, really? Well, it's 300,000 per district. Oh, right, yeah. But that also stacks in with the overall reputation, right?
Yep.
Because you get them both at the same time. Okay, so 1.2. Now, what were the initial projections of how long this was going to take people to complete when this first came out?
Before the Soul Obelisk, it was estimated to take about 430 hours to unlock everything.
Which is more XP or more gameplay time than some people actually have. So,
yeah, it was. If you were to play 5 hours a day, you would unlock everything around the time the Halloween event came out.
And herein lies the thing that people are questioning about whether or not this level of grind is acceptable, and whether or not this is what Jagex intended. So let's just start going around here. And Tanis, what do you think? Do you think this is acceptable?
All right, here we go. I'm actually gonna defend the grind a little bit here. I think it's perfectly acceptable considering that this is not a typical update. This is not a month, even a headlining month update. This is meant to be 3 to 4 months worth of content. So there's a grace period for the whole capes and all that. You didn't think that was for nothing, right? I mean, they weren't going to do that for something that you could get done in a week. It's a little bit of a grind, but you have so many choices. If you want to AFK, you can woodcut, you can fish. If you want to do something that's a little faster paced and do something with your friends, you can do shifting tombs. If you're like me and you're just really into the 120 Slayer update, you can gain rep in the new Slayer dungeon.
How's the rep on the new Slayer dungeon? About how much?
It's not bad. I mean, that's pretty much how. Oh, I don't know what it is per hour. But I'm doing fine with it. Like, I'm happy with the level. I'm not really in a hurry though. So I mean, I would say it's if I had to guess, I don't know, 3 or 4K an hour maybe. All right. It's just hard when it comes to
that's
Slayer,
relatively on par compared to crystallizing the wood or fishing. All right.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of choices, and you don't have to have this done in a week. Now, I didn't realize it was quite that much, like 400 hours. That's
a lot. That's a lot.
That's more than what I had heard. I had heard more like on the 40 to 60 hour range, but I guess that must have just been to open up the quest.
40 to 60 hours sounds about right for the quests.
Which I still don't mind because, hey guys, next month there'll be a treasure hunter item that will increase your reputation. You know it. It will.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
Okay. Now, how would you feel about that if they didn't bring in the soul obelisks?
Oh, I'd feel the same way. I mean, I haven't used the Soul Obelisk yet.
All right.
I think with the Soul Obelisk, it definitely helps. Without the Soul Obelisk, it was a bit of a stretch asking people to do that for level 50 to 70 content.
Yeah. All right. How about you, Mr. Bistro?
I'm gonna have to agree. I think that it's the exact amount right of time, especially if you were factoring in that if 5 hours a day all the way into October, well, October is 4 months from now. It's 4 months of content, quarter of the year. Big update. And we're not talking about unlocking the final quest. We're talking about unlocking all the extra stuff. So I think it's exactly where it needs to be, and nothing needs to change about it. Period.
All right. How about you, Magic?
I mean, personally, I don't mind the grind. I think it's actually good for the game to make you actually work towards something again. It's a little tough to do it when you realize you can go to Prifdinus and pay half the effort to get twice the experience, but I think that's part of the game.
Yeah, and we knew that wasn't what Menaphos was going to be about when it arrived.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's the variety and the choice and all. I mean, it's all of the good. And I want to ask people this that are really upset about the grind. Look, no one wants to grind unnecessarily, but would you rather grind magic trees? Would that be better? Would you rather go fish in Catherby? Maybe grind on some shark? Would that be better? I mean, everything you do, there's some kind of element of grind to it because it's RuneScape. Like, this is actually really good content, and you have a lot of choices on how you want to participate in it and how you want to gain that reputation. We all don't have to be completionists, and we shouldn't have that
I
mindset.
agree with that. I totally agree with that.
You should enjoy and do what you really enjoy. You don't have to complete every last little thing.
All right.
Unless you want to, and that's great, hey, more power to you, but it's about choice.
Okay. I'm going to take a bit of a different stance here, and I'm going to come at it from a perspective of the reputation system itself and not necessarily the unlocks associated with it. The only thing that you gain from this reputation system, aside from a few convenience teleports and bank chests, is cosmetics and the ability to do quests. And the question that needs to be asked about this reputation system is, why is it called a reputation system? How is this actually helping Menaphos? How is this helping to develop, aside from me showing my goodwill in that city? There's reputation systems in other games that exist, and I think Jagex could have perhaps designed this reputation system a little bit differently to make it feel as though there was more of a choice of if you wanted to do this. Because recall, one of the ideas about Menaphos was that you're going to be able to do good mid-level skilling there, but it's not going to be the best XP in the game. But if you optimize and you focus on things entirely, it will be good XP. And I think partially that was referring to the shifting tombs. Now, I think that in a way should have extended up to the general city itself. That is, rather than just having basic fishing, basic woodcutting, basic mining, what if instead of that, for the reputation system, we had a daily reputation system task set, kind of like the Managing Miscellanea minigame, now that you think of it, where you can go somewhere, you can go to Shifting Tombs, you can go to the Slayer Dungeon, you can go fish, you can go mine, you can go chop some wood. And what you ultimately get from this for the time that you're completing the reputation system is that you get, in addition to the logs, you get a stackable item that would kind of be like the orts that you use for charging a clan avatar. And then at the end of each day, you can just dump them into the system And then you can come back the next day at daily reset and get a guaranteed amount of reputation for that faction, rather than making it feel like I need to go and sit and do this for as many hours. Granted, you could maybe keep the playtime each and every day to, an hour and a half to maybe 2 hours to get the amount of things that are needed if Jagex wanted to do that. And some methods could be faster than it to get this kind of special currency that you just dump in at the end of it. I think that would have worked a lot better for reputation than forcing people to go and train skills that are below the level that they have access to. Like, I recently got 99 fishing, and it doesn't make sense to me to be fishing a level 72 item for that. I would happily fish that 72 item if it was giving me the ability to gain something for reputation along the way, which it is, but I'm thinking that the reputation system shouldn't necessarily be based on XP rate, and it should be focused more on a task miscellanea management kind of system with a currency kind of linked to what the anagogic orts look like.
Well, I mean, I think those are all fair. I mean, that's a fair approach of doing it. Maybe there could be increased reputation by turning in the goods would have been an option.
That would work. See, that would be a good way to supplement this reputation system, I think. And the reason I say this mostly is a matter of giving people choice. And I think that is something that Jagex has really prided themselves on recently, is player choice and the ability to choose how you're going to play the game. And for people who might not want to spend the amount of time grinding and may only want to do, say, play an hour and, do a Slayer task down there, there's no reason why a large Slayer task under the dungeon shouldn't provide you enough XP to get the reputation for one day.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But if you want a bigger chunk, we did talk about the obelisk, and there are city quests, which we kind of missed, but those both can give you like a decent daily chunk,
Yeah, and I mean it's not something that I think is going to outright change the way people are playing the game. I think if anything, you think people have become a little bit too unaccustomed to the grind?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, when you're thinking about this, how many hours did we say it would be to complete the entire thing? 350, 400 almost?
With the soul obelisks, it's probably about 300 now.
Okay. So, I mean, even with that, I don't know.
It's a lot, but I almost wonder how we would feel if you replaced the word grinding with, I don't know, the word playing RuneScape. That's kind of what we're doing.
That's a very good point. Very good point. But I don't know. It just doesn't feel as though it's worth it to do this and to invest the time in it, because I mean, sure, they put the quest behind it, and it's a lot easier now to get the quests and whatnot, and that's fine. But what is the player getting for doing this? I don't think there's much that comes out of this aside from, a few ticks on the box. So,
but this is paradox that we knew we were headed towards.
Right.
So we knew that for the higher level players, it wasn't going to be an XP reward, that it was going to have to be either the rewards themselves or just the enjoyment of the content.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm having a hard time finding problems with the content.
Oh no, there are no problems with the content. It's all 100% solid.
Yeah.
But I just feel that, people might want to shoot me for this or something, that this is the arc in an expansion.
Well, I think you're representing a contingency out there that definitely feel that way.
Because The use case for me of Menaphos is the following, much like the Ark. I am going to do the necessary reputation to unlock the quests, and I'm probably not going to go back unless I'm training Slayer. And the same thing with the Ark. I unlocked what I needed to do with the Ark for island-wise to unlock various, equipment tick marks and whatnot, since I'm not going for the comp. But after that, it's going to be content that people play once, unless you're leveling up, and then you're not going to come back to it. That is my prediction for what Menaphos is going to look like.
Well, Menaphos will be the alt city. That's when all of our second screens will have our little junior accounts. They're all going to be in Menaphos.
Right, but how long is
that?
How long is that character going to sit at Menaphos for?
I don't know. For a while, I guess. I don't know.
Till you get into Prif.
Yeah, exactly. Till you can get into Prif and just thieve. That's my goal.
So, and that's my point. It's not something that is going to have value to people to come back to because it is marked at that level 50 to 60 range. The only thing that people are going to come back to who are not in that skilling bracket who are going to get anything out of training there are the people who want to do shifting tombs or the people who are doing Slayer. And I'll ask you guys, is this what we want for a RuneScape expansion?
Well, but what alternative was there? Should they have, if they had made it better, then we would have been criticizing them for making it.
I think they should have brought it out week by week without being the idea of an expansion.
See, I like the expansion. I think this is great. And I hope they stick with it and don't bow to the pressure. I think this is the way to go. I really do.
I agree with that. I have been super excited for this update, and now it's happened, and I don't feel like I have found everything out and done all of the content just right away. It's just there's such a variety of things that I can do that it will take a while for me to actually get to it. And that's the beauty of a bigger expansion like this.
So you guys don't feel it's like the Ark where it's going to be a matter of just completing everything that's on the tick marks and then abandoning it? You think there will be utility to come back to in 6 months' time?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to release something this big and then just abandon it.
No. And we haven't even gotten to the best part that's going to keep you coming back.
All right. I will defer to what seems to be the majority consensus on this episode, but I honestly feel like this is the Ark. The Ark. I'm
as shocked as you are, Shane, because I thought I was going to be the only positive one on it. So, hey, that's good. That's awesome, actually. So, we got a good representation of different views. That's good.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, it's just a matter that I don't think there's going to be a reason for people who are high level to come back, aside from the Slayer dungeon. And I think that if they wanted to do a reputation system, they could have done it in a way that doesn't make us feel as grindy.
Well, but there are some reasons. Maybe not everybody just wants to go to the exchange and buy every single thing.
Maybe I'm not suggesting that.
No, but what I'm saying is maybe you have a little bit of time that you're just going to AFK while you're working on a paper or something, right? So if you go and do the Arcadia logs, you're going to get the best rate of simple parts in the game. That's going to help you do your charge packs, stuff like that. I think there are other things with some of these skilling methods that we haven't figured out yet. There's other things underneath. It's not even been a whole week. I know, when I would look on YouTube and there wasn't anything for a couple days. You had a few loot videos and stuff.
I believe
it. There are things that we don't realize. These resources are going to be useful for high level players. I just don't know how yet, but I really believe that.
All right. Well then, anything else on the reputation system?
No.
Okay. Well, I think the thing that we're all in agreement with is that the numbers for the reputation system are okay now, specifically because of the soul obelisk, and that we can have methods of training that are AFKable and have benefits, like, for instance, crystallizing the logs, like you said. So I think the numbers are okay. I just would have liked to have seen it executed differently, and I will defer to your guys' judgment, but this honestly feels like the Ark. So, okay.
The Soul Obelisk is a perfect example, though, of why people shouldn't jump to conclusions, because there was a better rate. There was a better way. You just had to give it a little bit of time and let it be found.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what else there is out there that we haven't unlocked or discovered yet.
Yep.
Moving on to Shifting Tombs, then. So this is basically a 5-minute dynamically generated skilling experience that takes place under Menaphos. I like to think of this as basically a Shattered Worlds, except with skilling and much shorter. Accessible from all parts of the city, and each run gives you around 300 to 400 reputation, depending on how well you do. Probably closer to 500 if you manage to complete the entire tomb on your own. So, what do you guys think of Shifting Tombs?
It's a fun distraction.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think it's a good game. It's not real conducive for me, and I had that fear going into it, and so I knew it was going to be a challenge. But it looks great. I think it works real well, and it's just something that some people may have trouble with, like myself, but otherwise, it's exactly what it was said to be. So, yeah, it's cool.
Okay. I found Shifting Tombs to be really interesting, but after probably about 20 minutes of doing runs, it kind of started to wane a bit. But at the same time, I think that the idea behind it is just excellent. The idea you can go down there, get XP, and you can choose what skills the XP come from. So runecrafting, thieving, dungeoneering, divination, there's a myriad of choices, and you're going to be able to customize it to your heart's content. So, Shifting Tombs, great XP, and you get reputation from it at the end of the day. Have you guys tried any group runs?
Nope, not yet.
That is the best. No, what if you want to make? I mean, Jagex has said this, but I mean it's really true. If you can get a group of your friends together on Discord with voice communication, it's good. It's really fun. Like I said, there's challenges for me, but when I did do it, when I was doing it with friends, it was a lot better. It was a much, much better experience.
Yeah, because basically you will start out and then you'll fan out, breaking the relics and whatnot for gaining XP, and then there's a set number of corruption that you need to attain, and you do that by breaking the relics. There's also a set number of caskets and tombs that you need to open as well, and if you can complete all of those in under 5 minutes, I can imagine that the rewards would be immaculate for that. So once again, another way of getting great reputation if you can do it with a group. So anyone else feel that this is what Shattered Worlds should have been, except with combat?
I still kind of like Shattered Worlds. I mean, no, I like Shifting Tombs the way it is. I like Shattered Worlds the way it is. I think they're both good.
I like Shattered Worlds the way it is also.
All right. How about Shifting Tombs for you?
I don't really care for it so much. Yeah. Other than the fact that I just know in my mind that if there was a way for Shane to get dungeoneering experience, that's probably the way you'd go.
You're right. I did enable dungeoneering XP. You're bringing that up again, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
All right. Okay. You think there's any hidden rewards sitting in Shifting Tombs that we're not aware of yet that are going to be updated as people progress through Menaphos?
Well, on the stream they said people aren't really getting what they can out of it. They're getting like the medium bags or gifts or whatever it's called, and there's still a bigger size after that. So there are bigger and better rewards. It's just people haven't gotten them yet.
Question of finding out how to optimize it then. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you probably need to be able to do that in the group.
Well, it's the communication. You know, you got the sarcophaguses, and you have the, you know what I mean. You once you break that down and you get everyone into their roles, and then and you can find a way out. I think that's the way that you're going to optimize it.
Yeah. All right. Okay. You know, I really like the idea of shifting tombs. I have to try it with a group, but I think it, like you guys said, it's a good distraction. And I think one thing that that people are not realizing or might gloss over is that with shifting tombs, you can actually use shifting tombs to move quickly around the city. Because there's portals, and you can dump right down and end up in various parts of the city. So
I actually keep forgetting about that.
Yeah, right away after the quest, I was already just using that to get from section to section.
Yeah, that's good. And what's also there is they have a right-click quick option, so you don't need to actually go into the tomb. You can just say, I want to go to the Merchants District from the Ports District, and away you go. So,
oh, very cool.
All right. Okay, now on to what everyone has been waiting for. Level 120 Slayer in the Sophanum Slayer Dungeon. Okay, so how do you guys want to split this up? Because you two, Mr. Bistro and Tanis, have been the ones that have delved deep into Slayer and your own personalized Slayer dungeon. So should we maybe start with just the Sophanum Slayer Dungeon and how that's working out?
Yeah,
okay.
I guess we could do that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go for it.
Okay. Well, there's a plethora of new creatures to kill. Frankly, half of them look like just reskins of existing monsters.
Yeah, we knew that coming in.
Yeah. Their drops, before we even get into any mechanics, are right on par with what they should be for Slayer creatures. And the way you kill them, I agree with that as well. What do you think, Tanis?
Actually, I agree. And I will say this, like, I'm not going to say I was completely wrong a couple weeks ago when I found out that they were reskinned creatures. But I was at least 50% wrong, because these are way better than I expected. I really didn't think they were going to be this good. Even though they are things we're familiar with, I actually think they actually look pretty decent. And some of them can hit. And I love the corruption kind of effect going on, where it's, you know, you're taking more damage, but you're doing more damage. I really like it. The feathers, that can get a little expensive, but completely fair. Completely fair.
Yeah, the feathers can get expensive, but you can kind of start to negate that the more rep you get, which
How
I guess
so?
Just with the sigils that you obtain.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of, I think all the sigils are just specific to the Slayer dungeon itself. We can get into those in a little bit, because I don't exactly have them right on hand. But when it comes to the higher up leveled Slayer creatures, we're talking like 105 up to 107, I believe, is the highest level Slayer creature. They have different abilities that when you are attacking them, they're going to start out with a certain attack against you. And that's something that I found really interesting. For instance, some of them will, when you get them down a certain amount of health, they'll become aggressive around you and all start to attack you. That's kind of cool.
The felines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the vulnerability ability on the start of attack with the scarabs, and combust on the Imperial Mage. That one I found the most annoying. Fragmentation shots on Imperial Rangers, and the Warriors have the backhand ability, so I believe you got to use Freedom before you attack once with the backhand.
So basically what we're looking at is a modern Slayer dungeon with smart creatures that use combat abilities on you rather than the other way around.
Yeah, there's some of that. I mean, we had some of that in Priv.
Yeah, except this is focusing on it much more so.
Yeah.
So I guess Netflix and kills ain't going to be a thing here.
Not in this dungeon.
It could be for the corrupt ones more than the, how do you pronounce it? Akai? Axe?
The Soul Devourers.
Yeah.
So basically then what we've got is we got a good combination between standard Slayer and Slayer that requires a little bit more attention to it. But not... Would you guys say they're not necessarily a mini boss monster such as, say, dragons or the mammoths?
These are exactly right. But even on the corrupted, you go around with AoE abilities, or if you walk in there and you're brazen enough to be using aggro pots, you better be paying attention, because I've seen people go down by the lower rated creatures. And it's funny. It's hilarious. It's like, oh, look how awesome I am. Oh, you're dead. Yeah, that didn't work out, did it? So you really have to watch your AoEs and stuff like that, because you don't want too many of these things on you at one time.
And I assume we're not too worried by the fact that it resides in Sophanum rather than Menaphos, which was a concern.
I was worked up about
yours.
that, but it's cool. It's cool.
I think it belongs there.
Yeah,
anyway.
Because like the idea behind Sophanum versus Menaphos is, of course, that Menaphos is the affluent, rich city, while Sophanum is the lesser city, and it makes sense that there would be Slayer creatures under Sophanum that need to be dealt with there.
I would still like to see an underground way of reaching the dungeon from Menaphos, but that's just me.
Yeah, maybe in the future. Who knows? Are there any interesting drops that we can look at here? I know you guys mentioned the sigils, so what do we got?
Yeah, there's a few. You seem excited about it, Tess. Go ahead.
There's some good stuff right now, man. The keys that you will use to access the boss, which we now know from the stream is going to be called the Magistrate, drop from these creatures, and they're going for pretty good money. I mean, I think they were on the downslide a little bit, but I want to say last time I sold one, it was about 2.3 mil for a key.
Wow.
So it's really good.
That reminds me of the Ascension keys. So it's almost like the same.
Yeah, and that's what they said
here
in the behind the scenes, is that this is going to be very much Ascension Dungeon-like.
Yes. On top of that, you have the big granddaddy of the Corrupted Gem, which is what you need in conjunction with 1,000 Slayer points to unlock the ability to turn your Slayer helmet into a tier 80, I think.
I have it open. The Corrupt Slayer helmet is level 80, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And those are going for about 30 mil.
Ooh, what item was that again?
The Corrupted Gem.
The Corrupted Gem.
Yeah. Gonna be borrowing that Luck of the Dwarves, they're saying.
We'll definitely be doing that. And you guys are entirely right that these keys are going to be ending up just like the keys did in the Ascension Dungeon. What about the sigils? I know you were excited about that, Tanis, as well. What do we got for those?
Well, the sigils you make out of the Vital Sparks, and
right.
I'm not sure what the Vital Sparks are going for right now. And maybe Bistro could elaborate a little bit more on the sigils, because I'm not that familiar with them at this point, because I haven't got enough sparks to make anything yet.
Yeah, it seems like the sigils are used to either negate effects of some of these Slayer creatures, um, or just overall just give you an easier time when you're down in that dungeon. I don't remember the names of all the sigils, but I do know that the effect of the one that seems the most interesting to me, um, there's a creature, I forget what it's called, um, but it will deal a certain amount of 25% more damage, and you will also deal 25% more damage. And what the sigil will do is it will remove the monster's effect to deal 25% more to you, but still allow you to do that 25% extra
That would be the
damage back to
Unsullied
it.
Sigil. Maintain your
Unsullied.
corruption damage buff and prevent the monsters from taking advantage of your corruption status.
Yeah. I think if I was going to be using this dungeon for Slayer, that might be the one I would go for.
All right.
But that's just because I'm still a little bit fuzzy on sigils. It is such a new concept to combat still, so
Limitless
I don't know
Sigil
what.
as well. No longer required to reach 50% adrenaline before using thresholds.
Yeah, that one's a good one.
So does that effectively make them like a basic, or?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting.
Hopefully, this is like only for the dungeon, because could you imagine using that just anywhere?
I mean, yeah, we got the Asylum Surgeon Ring, so I mean, I guess that wouldn't be as reliable as this. But well, then again, maybe it is. Maybe the proc chance is the same. I don't know.
And then you have the Golden Touch Sigil, which high alks anything under your loot beam. I don't know why you would want that.
Well, I mean, if you're, right now you wouldn't want that, because if you if you popped a key, that would suck. Yeah, because the G value is nowhere near what they actually are, so that wouldn't be very good.
Yeah, that wouldn't be great. Magic, did you do any Slayer down there?
No, I got one kill on the lowest creature.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't gone down there either. I'm not too much for the combat type, as the listeners know, but we will hopefully be changing that in June and going to experience some of these. So,
it's so fun. Most of the creatures down there seem to be weak to magic. That seems to be the preferred style for most of them down there.
Yes,
I've used melee in a few situations, but magic seems to be the way to go.
oh yeah, and that's also where the gorilla is at level 113 that they killed on the Harambe anniversary.
Yeah, it turns out those things can put a hurting on you real quick. Like if you get more than one angry, these are like Erets, essentially, but they do the same kind of fast hit attack thing, special. So you definitely don't want too many of those on you. But Harambe will get his revenge.
So how would you guys say that the loot box mechanic works? Because that is different about this dungeon, is that everything is focused in on a loot box rather than drops after each kill. Or are we not at that point yet?
Oh, I suppose we can go there, yeah. I should just want to quick mention that there is a melee level 82 weapon that gets dropped by these that goes for about 6 mil.
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
Yeah, so it's just kind of a nice in the middle weapon that maybe people can afford if they want to take a little bit higher of a step. I'm not sure entirely about the stats, but just the fact that it's a couple more levels and gives you an option other than chaotics makes it probably interesting for middle range players.
Yeah, and plus you also have ports at 85, and sometimes that can take a long time to unlock, so it's a good option.
Do we know if the tier 82 is degradable?
I don't know if it's degradable.
Yeah, I'm not sure that. I mean, right now it's probably pretty comparable
is.
with the Twin Furies, those blades, but those are really cheap too right now. They're only a couple mil. So there's a newness factor on this that's probably keeping it around.
It is called the Kopesh of the Caridian, which basically means it's a scimitar type weapon. It degrades over 60,000 charges in combat. It can be repaired at the repair NPC or on an armor stand. So yes, degradable.
Okay.
That's cool.
All right. So where does the loot dungeon come in that we were talking about previously, you guys?
Well, the first thing to know with the loot chest is it's going to hold 30 places. Like, it's going to hold 30 items, like different items. So if you start getting RDT, stuff like that, you need to make sure you check that chest and get those out of there if you're wanting to loot for a long time. Also, the different mobs will drop different items, so you can fill up your loot chest. I'm not going to say real quick, but it's not just endless, you know. I mean, once you start noticing things dropping on the floor, your chest is definitely full.
Okay, so stuff does drop on the floor in addition to the chest.
Yeah, well, and anything that like the keys, the weapons, the corrupted gem, that will all be on the floor. You're going to get a loot beam for that. The nice thing about the chest is it's like Queen Black Dragon, where you can send it directly to your bank. So that's really cool. You can turn off the chest mechanic, and if you do, you do have, you might have to help me here, Bistro, but is it a 20% chance of getting a double drop?
25.
25%, okay.
Well, that might be worth it then if you want to manage the drops on your own, or I mean, even just bring a legendary pet, and that helps, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so that's, once again, you know, you got some choice there.
Okay. There's something else we also need to talk about, though we're not going to talk too much about it this week. One of the drops listed as some of these Slayer creatures is the Soul Talisman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We know the Soul Altar unlocks after Fight Club. We do not know where it is, but we do know.
We do know where it is.
Oh, we do. Okay, that's new to me. When did we hear that?
Somebody found it, I believe.
Okay, I did not check up on that. Where is it?
It is. You access it using the Soul Talisman on the water fountain inside the Imperial District.
Oh, interesting.
It's the fountain.
There you have it. You heard it here first.
That must have taken a long time to find. That is really obscure. Water fountain in the Imperial District use a talisman. And that's different than all the other old altars, because recall that all the runecrafting altars that exist on the surface world right now are dilapidated, with the exception of the Astral altar. And from the looks of it, this isn't even an altar, so that's a little bit odd. We'll have to get some lore out of that from the Fight Club quest once we all get there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, so sorry for that diversion back to combat. Anything else on the Slayer dungeon, or should we talk about what everyone is raging about when it comes to combat?
Well, I'm curious if the Soul Talisman is required in order to make that talisman staff. If they remembered that.
Oh, the like the big staff now that you can use to get into any altar?
Yeah, besides like the actual hood, but because I have my talisman staff, and I don't want that to be missing something.
That would be a very good thing to test, considering it's been so long since we've had a new rune altar added. Very good question.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, I think the thing that the combat folks are most happy about is the customizable Slayer dungeon, where you can, in effect, be your own Slayer master. How does that work?
Oh, the year of surprises. Yes. Yes.
See, I told you people are happy about that.
Oh, man, this is so good. It's so good.
I wasn't even aware of this.
You weren't. All right, Tannis, how does this work?
Oh wow. Okay. Oh man, you're missing this. This is the best part of the whole expansion. Okay, so in the western, you go all the way south and west of in the Ports District. There's a little boat. You take a ride to the Sunken Pyramid. You go in the pyramid, and you will talk to this like spirit who is like a Slayer master, and she tells you you are going to be allowed into the elite order of Slayer masters.
And I think you need a
but
pretty high Slayer level to unlock
You have to have
this.
99.
99.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to have 99. And in order to do so, see, there's a lot of we got some Game of Thrones references in here, right? Because in order to go forward, you must go back. So you have to go back from the beginning. She gives you a book, which is like a codex, where all of the Slayer monsters in the whole game that you've ever, fought, even if you didn't fight them, they're all there. It's like 140 something.
So like
38.
Rune Dragons.
Okay. All of them. Oh yeah, all of them. I mean, down to a monkey or a goblin. I mean, everything. Everything's there. Your skipper demons, your mammoths, all of them. And what you do is you go and you can buy these containers that capture souls. So these containers cost 20 Slayer points apiece. So I hope you've been banking your points. Luckily, I did.
This is kind of what we saw Kuradel doing when the Kuradel Slayer dungeon came out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember when she came out.
She would spawn at various Slayer creatures and in essence capture their soul or their essence and take it back to her dungeon. So
that's exactly what's happening.
Okay,
that's exactly.
I'll let you continue.
Yep, that's it. Okay, so the way this works is so the lower its Slayer level is, the higher yours is, the better your chance is of capturing a soul. And that decreases the higher their Slayer level is. So as you can imagine, the new creatures are a lot harder to get than the lower level ones, right? And you can capture souls whether you are on or off a task. If you're on a task, you got a better chance. Okay, so that's good, but it's also good that you can get it off task. That way, here's a tip: go to the RD Zoo and just start annihilating everything. Because a lot of those little things are actually mobs, Slayer mobs. Just saying.
But why would you want those in your dungeon?
No. That's not how it works. So you have to capture one soul of every creature in order to give yourself task. And what you do with those jars is you take them back to the Sunken Pyramid, and you click on like the center chesty looking thing. And that, and you get a little bit of Slayer XP for each of the creatures you add to it, right?
Okay, so
now the ones that you want to add to your dungeon, you need to go and capture those again, and it's one soul per spawn. So it's going to take some time.
So basically, you need to capture a soul from each Slayer creature in game before you can start using this.
No, you can start right away, but you have to. If you want to assign the creatures yourself, assign yourself, Dark Beast. Well,
you need a Dark Beast soul.
And you have to have completed the codex.
Right. So you got to complete the codex once before you can assign.
Yes, before you can assign, but you can add Dark Beast to your dungeon at 99 Slayer. So once you get that going,
that's an insane amount of souls. There's 146 of them.
Yeah. It is, but it's so fun. It's really fun. It's cool.
It does sound really cool.
Well, and here's the thing. No more do you walk in somewhere and some not so nice person's like, hop, hey, hop, hey, you know what? No, because you didn't ask me nicely. I ain't going nowhere now. Now I'm going to tag your stuff, because that's how that works. It's a lesson in there somewhere. But you don't have to worry about crowding. You don't have to worry about Abbey Demons and Dark Beast anymore. Here's an added bonus. If you want to team up with your friends and plan this shit out, you can enter into your friend's Slayer dungeons. So if you planned it out well enough, you could do all of your assignments from either your dungeon or going to your friend's dungeons. Like you could do all of the best creatures.
Can you get souls from someone else's Slayer dungeon?
That I don't know.
Probably
I don't know
not.
that. Yeah. I would guess not, but I don't know that.
Okay.
But you can use your friend's dungeons. This is like a POH, but useful and better. Like, this is cool.
Yeah, people wanted a POH Slayer dungeon, and I think this takes the cake. And
this is it.
this wasn't at all mentioned on the Menaphos news posting. So, as you can see, this is one of the few hidden things within Menaphos. And as things continue on, the rep gets easier. My initial point still stands, but I guess this is the idea behind an expansion.
This was hidden. This was hidden because I had no idea of it, and this sounds like the update of the year to me.
Without a doubt. And see, they mentioned, like, when they first started talking about 120 Slayer, they mentioned be your own Slayer master. And then they never said it again. I thought, oh, well, that was like a really cool idea that they're not doing that. You know, they decided not to. And then, boom, there it was. I mean, if nothing else, this makes Menaphos an awesome expansion. If nothing else.
Yeah, and I that's what I was saying initially. Why it feels like the Ark, because everyone has their one use case for the Ark, and then after that, there's no use for it. And I think that's what the case is going to be for Menaphos, except the use case for Menaphos after you finish getting the reputation that you want is going to be the Slayer dungeon and perhaps this Sunken Pyramid.
Yeah, technically after you've captured 20 souls, you can teleport directly to your dungeon.
Right.
But, you know.
And you have to do a lot of Slayer for this. And it's kind of interesting that they didn't allow you to start capturing souls before Menaphos came out. And, just have it be like a mystery item in game that you might not know what it's for. I think that would have been neat.
It would have been, people would have figured that out.
I'm glad this came out with the expansion because I guess it kind of gives people the incentive to go to 120, and it also rewards the people that waited to experience a journey to 120.
Very good point, because if you're already 120, are you going to want to go and capture 146 plus souls from all the Slayer creatures in game again after doing that much Slayer? I don't think so. And
I don't know if that's
remember
comp or
but remember Jagex said wait.
Yeah.
So
I did. I'm enjoying myself. I'm having a great time this week. I mean, it's awesome. Oh, I almost forgot this. If you want a better chance of getting creatures in the new dungeon in the Menaphos or the new dungeon,
you
go to Simona.
Yeah, she's in Polnavach.
Yeah, that makes sense. Desert creatures, desert Slayer monsters.
Yeah, and anything like any regular task, like if she were to give you desert lizards, they have corrupted desert lizards down there. Those count. So anything like that counts. That is in there. Like dust devils, those count because they're corrupted. So,
okay.
I almost forgot that, but I want to make sure everyone knows.
Excellent. And, this wasn't even there. And so if you had your choice, what would you have for your own Slayer creature that you decide to kill in your Slayer dungeon?
See, I've been thinking about this all week long. Because, I mean, on one hand, like, I want really good stuff, but I want stuff that is a pain in the ass on the surface world. So, Dark Beast. That can be a pain, and it irks me, and people bother me. So I want those there. I want Abbey Demons. Maybe Gargoyles. They're not that good, but then again, they are. So I don't know. Maybe them too. You got 8 rooms. I think you can have 5 spawns per room, something like that. So, but after that, I don't know. Like, do I want Celestial Dragons? Because that's one of my favorites. Do I want Chaos Giants? Do I want Erets? Well, I'm definitely going to have Erets, but I don't know. Because, I want to think of the stuff that is more beneficial. There are a few exceptions, though. Don't think that you're going to get around the Wildy by putting your Lava Strikes there. Doesn't work.
Okay.
Doesn't work.
Of course.
You can. I think you can put Ripper Demons in, and I'm not sure about Wyverns. If you can put Living Wyverns, that might be kind of cool too, because then you wouldn't have to worry about the environmental hazards.
Right.
So you got to think about it like in those terms is what I'm trying to think about it anyway.
Yeah, and see, this is one of the hidden updates, and I guess in that regard, Menaphos is also a high-level update as well, in addition to being, mid-level in the city for that. But alrighty, that's an hour and 20 minutes on Menaphos. Do you guys have anything else that you'd like to talk about before we move on to just a few other little nuggets this week?
No.
I'm good.
Okay. So they had a post Q&A live stream for Menaphos, and Tanis, you watched this. What was the general gist of it?
The gist of it was they know the criticism of the grind, and at this point, it is what they have expected, and they're not making any changes. Now, it remains to be seen if that is going to continue, but for right now, they're not making any changes, and there is much more to discover, and there are things that are being underutilized in their words. So the city quests have been very underutilized, and there are more rewards and shifting tombs than people are getting. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, and they're pretty happy with the way it's turning out.
All right. Well, I do give Jagex full credit then for sticking with this, because ultimately, when it comes down to it, it is more important that they have a cohesive vision of what they want Menaphos to be, rather than ultimately bowing down to community pressure, as has happened before with many updates after just seeing the responses to them, and the very fact that say there are things being underutilized and things that we don't work about, that gives me a good deal of encouragement for the reputation system. It could have been designed better, but hey, that's good. Did they give any indication as to what kind of things are being underutilized aside from the city quests?
Just that, like the shifting tombs rewards, there's people aren't getting like the best out of that. So I'm guessing probably groups haven't really formed and coalesced yet. Once they do, then I'm sure those rewards will change.
That, or it could also be just kind of like in dungeoneering, where there's just a certain percentage that needs to be cleared for greater experience. That a lot of people just forget because they don't really care. But yeah,
right.
It could be something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, the full link is up in the show notes at update.rsbnb.com if you want to have a watch through that. Now it's just some tweaks and fixes before we move on to the questions from this week. Diango now keeps the Alchemist Amulet if it's destroyed by the player. That's good. That should have been a Diango thing a long time ago. An issue was fixed that was causing active loot share to block the Acheron mammoths from performing special attacks. Okay, that might have been an interesting bug to kill these mammoths quickly. Caridian Desert has been graphically updated, but of course we know that from our initial Menaphos discussion. Simona has a higher chance of assigning the new Slayer monsters on a task, as you guys mentioned, so that's there. That's good. Camels, crocodiles, giant lizards, vultures, jackals, locusts, and scarabs have been graphically updated. The base damage on Tuska's Wrath has been increased to 15,000. I believe that's the one that if you're on a Slayer task and the creature has HP left, it'll just hit him for that level, right?
Yeah, it's something crazy. Like,
Yeah. Crazy 2
it's a one hit.
Yeah.
It's a one hit, but yeah.
Protection Prayers at Dark Beast now reduce damage by 50% instead of 95%.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there was something there. There's a new graphical feature, volumetric lighting, that we talked about with regards to Menaphos. Expect to see it elsewhere. A new graphical feature for water effects called caustic water effects have been added to the game. Water needs to be turned up to ultra in order to experience that. And that's all I pulled out of the patch notes. You guys have anything else interesting there?
Well,
I think that covers it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And it's also worth noting that this weekend, starting on June 9th at 12 p.m. UTC, they will be doing an open weekend in RuneScape in which anyone will be able to take part in the entirety of the game. So this is, in effect, a RuneScape free weekend. They've never done anything like this before. You're going to have all of the features enabled. So I'm very interested to see how this turns out and what kind of new membership numbers we'll see out of this. Because, I mean, how many people are going to play RuneScape free to play, but maybe decide that they don't want to play it because there's content that they don't understand or can't see? But then if they have a chance to play it, they're going to experience everything that the game has to offer and just being totally taken away by it.
I think for the legit free-to-play players, that's likely. I mean, that's a good possibility.
Yep. Alrighty then. You guys ready for some questions?
yep.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a quick fire round from Thieves. Would you rather quiz, old versus new? So number 1, would you rather finish up all existing quest lines, such as penguins and pirates, or start an entirely different set of quests? This includes the proposed bottle quests. For me, finish up all quest lines. You guys?
Same. Finish.
Yep.
Yep, finish.
Okay.
Agreed.
Update dead minigames like Vinesweeper and Soul Wars and give them 2017 XP rates, or add more minigames like Shattered Worlds.
Update.
Update.
I don't know if they're like Shattered Worlds. I want more of those.
All right.
I would go update too. Shadow Worlds is great, but
Yeah, you got to have something to do with Castle Wars and Vinesweeper and Soul Wars. C, graphically update all content to match the rest of the game and make them relevant again, or continue releasing new areas such as Menaphos and Prifddinas.
Ooh, that one's tougher.
It really is tough because there's so much charm associated with all these graphical updates. We know that the Sears Village graphical update is happening right now and that the Ardoyan one is going to be next in the pipeline. And after that, it's just Yanil that's practically left. So
I would say just get it over with. Rip the Band-Aid off.
okay. All right. I'll go with that one as well.
Yep.
I would have to say, gosh, I have to pick one, don't I? One or the other.
Yep.
Well, just think of all the development time that goes into each of these projects, where that could be freed up to work on new content instead of revitalizing the older content.
That's true. Yeah, let's rip the Band-Aid off. We'll go with the graphical reworks or updates.
All right. D, update forums and website usability, or scrap the RS official forums entirely and opt to use Twitter and Reddit exclusively.
Scrap them.
Update them. Update them.
I would say update the forums.
Yeah.
I love forums, and I'm never going to be a Reddit poster.
I think forums are a little too
Dated.
Yeah, I guess dated is the word. I was thinking too structured compared to most conversations nowadays.
Okay. I'm going to go with update the forums and website because for two reasons. Number one, Jagex has them and they got to start using them. That has to be the primary source of publication on everything from JMods. They can't have this mishmash where some JMods post on Twitter, some post on Reddit, and so on and so forth. And the second reason is that as a huge company, Jagex has to have the ability to control the medium where they're posting their information.
Okay.
So that's why I'm on that one.
I'm going to say update forums as well, just because I want. Can they update it with a downvote option so that I can downvote stupid people's comments?
We don't need that.
Awesome.
We honestly do not need that.
Shane
Well,
is
I don't
not
know.
a
I
rep
mean,
person.
Sometimes you kind of do. Have you seen the forums lately? Like, just saying. Okay, how about an up? Would that make it more positive? So we just had an up.
I don't know.
System. Okay, just update them. But you're breaking my balls here, Shane.
All right, and the final one: fix up existing skills like construction and invention, or continue to add more elite skills such as necromancy.
This one's no option. Fix the skills.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
I refer people to our podcast we did last summer, Update SOS, the State of Skills. We basically found out that somewhere along the lines of 3 to 4 skills had actually usable content now, and the rest of them needed to be updated and made more modern. So that still stands true today. And last I heard, the mining and smithing rework was pushed back to next year. So please.
I've heard that 4 times now.
Oh, yeah.
It was originally gonna come out in 2013.
Yep, and then so on and so forth. But hey,
and now we're looking at 2018. I'm never gonna hold my breath on this update.
Just a reminder of the skills that we found that were acceptable last year during our State of Skills podcast were summoning, herblore, farming, and divination, while fishing, cooking, crafting, and hunter needed to be updated to be more reward useful but had no mechanical problems, whereas magic, rune crafting, wood cutting, fletching, fire making, and construction had to be updated majorly to fix mechanical issues, and agility just makes no sense as it is right now in the game because who runs out of run energy?
I did, going back and forth through Menaphos.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you, Thieves. Alrighty. Magic, you want to read the next one?
All right. This one is from Chodo, and it is a lot of questions at once. All right. I'll take it one at a time. So, first part. Menaphos, Menaphos, Menaphos. At last, the Golden City is there for us. At first, I thought it would be a horrible grind because of the insane amount of reputation we need to access quests. But then I said, why do I need to complete everything new ASAP? Why not take time to explore the wonderful city with a lot of content? So first question is, do you like this update to be something that can actually take some time to complete instead of completing it in less than 24 hours? Cough, invention, cough. I think we beat this horse dead earlier.
Yeah.
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 It's fine the way it is. It just
we are very happy that it takes more than a day to discover everything.
Yeah.
All right. Part 2. How many quests have you completed? Do you think they're great like I do?
Well, this is somewhat of a loaded question, isn't it?
I think the most you could have completed at this point is 2. As I say that, I see someone in the VIP section, so I now have to change that to 3. But
yeah, I've completed.
It's possible.
Oh, he's not talking about all the quests, or is he talking about the Menaphos ones?
I would think Menaphos.
Okay, I've just done Jack of Spades. I unlocked the crocodile tears yesterday, and that'll be topic of next week's show. All right.
Question 3. Will Menaphos be the new Prif?
No.
As long as your level is below 75.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
For sure.
What is the best and worst you've seen in Menaphos?
Well, I got a best and worst. I was watching someone die siphoning a soul obelisk.
You should have told him to get good.
I think he was AFK.
Yeah. I think for me the best has to be the Slayer dungeon. I mean my Slayer dungeon, because it's going to be awesome. You're all invited. You can come see my new Slayer dungeon. And the worst, I want to say the worst is the reaction of some people. I think that's been the worst.
All right.
I'd have to agree on both there. The reaction of this becoming a grind again after everything's been handed to people has been kind of ridiculous. But say all you will about this being a mid-level update, and I know I said they kind of outdated their own content immediately, but that Slayer dungeon is really nice, and the extra Slayer dungeon is even better. And who knows what else we haven't found yet.
All right. Mr. Bistro?
I'd say my best, and I wasn't aware of it until this podcast, is definitely the Slayer dungeon that we own. What's even the acronym for that one?
Sunken Pyramid.
Not the POS. POSD.
Unfortunately. Oh, I see what you're doing with that.
And the worst probably has to be when I was doing the Jack of Spades quest. I was having a little bit of issues every time Ozan would show up, where if I clicked it all, I would have to go through that portion again. Or on the carpet ride over, for some reason, the guy that was coming with me kept flying in front of me and turning to face me, and it ruined the experience for me because it just made him look like an asshole.
All right. Best for me, as I said, the best and worst was seeing someone die, but if I had to choose a best, it would be the graphical quality of Menaphos and its surrounding environment. That's just grade A level work there from Jagex. The worst, I think, is the design of the reputation system. The fact it forces us all down to skills rather than just giving us the option of attaining a different currency and letting the reputation system run and get a bulk level of it and have a set time that it would be completed in, for example, rather than just having to go skilling constantly for it. So that's what I would sum it up as. And
All right.
Question number 5, again, hype level 1 to 99.
We skipped one.
Oh, we did? Oh, we did.
Yep, we skipped
yes,
the
we
Slayer
did.
cap.
We did. All right.
All right, so we've also seen the Slayer cap increased. I don't care about it that much, but many complained about how long it takes to get souls for your own dungeon. Have you tried getting any souls yet? And are you happy it actually takes some work to gather them all?
Yes, and yes, and yes.
I think it's a great reward for people who go for 120 Slayer, and that's the sense I got from you, Tanis.
Yeah, I mean I'm glad, and I've been on a few. It's RNG, but it makes it exciting. It's cool. It's cool when you get a soul, and then I've done a few. I went through a few entire tasks on the higher level creatures like the soul devourers, and I didn't get any. But that's all right because I know I will. It's good. Now, will I change my tune when I have to get a Ripper Demon? Maybe. I might cuss that one, but I'm happy with it, and I'm glad.
Could you imagine assigning Ripper Demons to one of your friends?
Oh, yeah.
Just every time, too. Just troll them.
Yeah, you wouldn't have any friends.
All right. I haven't done anything with Slayer, so I'll abstain from answering this question. But it seems like you guys have this one sorted out. And hype, I don't get hyped about RS updates because I try and remain as stone-faced neutral as I can until I experience it myself.
I think it's pretty damn cool.
Okay. Tanis, Mr. Bistro?
It's pretty hyped. Won't lie. Most of the hype came from on day of release, really. I was just eager to get online, but I had to sit at work.
And, it's a different kind of release than when a skill comes out because everyone has that joy of training a skill from level 1 and getting that XP curve. And, in much the same way, Menaphos is kind of like that, except it's all about discovery at this time. So I think they also nailed that down quite well. I like I said, aside from the Slayer dungeon, I hope there will continue to be use for Menaphos after people have unlocked what they did. If that is the case, Menaphos will be great, and this will be a great first expansion. If we come out of this and the only couple things that are being used by players at the end of the day is Slayer, then there might be some tweaking need to be done about expansions for RuneScape.
Fair enough. For me, I try to not get that hyped anymore because I remember last summer and got burnt on a game real bad. That was real hyped.
No, that was that
y'all
No
know
Man's Sky
what?
thing,
No
right?
Man's Sky.
So ever since then, I've been real careful about hype. So with this update, honestly, it was kind of like I expected the worst and hoped for the best. But as we got closer and closer, I couldn't help but feel myself get a little bit excited. And so and Monday, I couldn't wait to, check it out. And I'm really, really happy. I think they did well, and because it beat my expectations. I had very measured expectations. I'm going to give it a 90. Let's see. No, we're going to have to go with like a 96, I think. Yeah. Almost perfect. Not quite.
Yeah, I'd go in the lower 90s myself.
See, I was going to do that, but then I remembered that 92 was only halfway to 99. So I thought, a little better than halfway.
All right. Mr. Beaster, you want to read the last question from Tycho?
Yep. Hi, RSBANDB. This is Tycho Elf. A couple of episodes ago, Tanis mentioned how the sigils of Shattered World would increase the motivation for bad behavior regarding popular spots for slayers. With the release of personal slayer dungeons, where players can not only create their own dungeons but also visit others without their owners being inside, do you think this is a clever idea, or do you think this clever idea will eliminate the fight over crowded hotspots and increase the social interaction between players? Also, would the sigils of Shattered Worlds have a place in the 120 Slayer update with this new information?
I think Tycho hit the nail on the head. I mean, what is worse than, like you said, being on double XP weekend and getting your dungeon crashed, right? And if you can avoid that now, or how many people can go in one of these dungeons? Do we know yet?
I don't know. I don't know that.
Because, I mean, if it's solo, that's okay. But at the same time, if it can support even a small number of people, that has the potential to change the equation of Slayer a lot. So
I would guess at least 2.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably could at least co-op in there, which would be cool.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, definitely it is a great idea by Jagex to prevent the fighting of these crowded areas and, decreasing the problems that happen on the surface world for Slayer. So that's good. And sigils of Shattered Worlds have a place in the 120 Slayer update? Absolutely. I think that we'll probably maybe even see more sigils coming into game, because you guys will recall in that podcast when Shattered Worlds came out, I think I questioned why a new equipment slot was needed. I don't know if you did as well, but I definitely questioned why a new equipment slot was needed and why the pocket just couldn't be used. But if they're going to bring out more of them and there's stuff that we don't know about Menaphos Slayer right now, I definitely see the sigil slot being useful in this case. So,
yep,
yeah,
I agree.
Have a place. But I just realized that Tycho might actually be referring to the actual sigils of Shattered Worlds. Did you guys get any of those when you were doing Shattered Worlds, or did you just go for the abilities at the end?
I haven't gotten any of them yet. I think they're going to be much more useful now in your own dungeon versus somewhere else, because, I think they did encourage bad behavior, but you can trash your own dungeon as much as you want. There's no problem with that. If you want to get everything aggroed and take it all out, good on you.
Yeah. Sigil of Slaying, as a reminder, increases Slayer XP by 10% for 30 seconds. Ferocious Sigil causes the NPCs in Curadel's dungeon to instantly respawn. So once again, no real place for the 120 Slayer dungeon here. And the Aggression Sigil causes everything around you to attack. I don't know if you would need that based on what you guys were saying earlier.
I want to avoid that one.
Yeah, you wouldn't want that in the new dungeon.
Yeah. No.
Harambe will get his revenge.
Alrighty. Well, if you guys want to send questions in for next week or discussion topics, update.rsbnb.com/ask, or call us, text us at 571-57BNB if you're in the US, which is 571-572-2632. And you can also DM us on Twitter at RSBANDB. All right. Good, guys, good for tech news?
Yep.
Yeah.
Apple. Time for some Apple stuff from Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference this week. iOS 11, macOS High Sierra, an iMac Pro, new iMacs, MacBooks, and a MacBook Pro, and a Siri speaker called the HomePod announced for December. So, any of these jump out at any of you guys? I don't think I have any Apple users in this panel today, do I?
No, just the phone.
Just the phone.
I'll be on Apple in a couple months for work.
Oh, good. You'll enjoy it, and you'll end up coming over to the platform. I guarantee it.
Well, I don't know about that, but when it comes to using Unix, there's no better way, I guess.
That's right. So, we did see the new version of macOS revealed this week, and they're calling it High Sierra, and they conveniently use the name and slogan, "Your Mac Elevated." I don't know if I agree with that, and they even made some jokes in the presentation about that. But the general look of what we're seeing here is not too many new changes in macOS High Sierra. Some good changes coming towards iOS 11 with the addition of things like a one-handed keyboard and revamped App Store and changes to the way settings work and whatnot. So there's going to be some great changes coming to iOS 11, I feel. And I think that's where everything needs to be focused this year, is what iOS 11 is going to look like, because you guys will recall last year that the iOS update for iOS 10 turned out to be the messages update with stickers and emoji and bubbles and whatnot. So safe to say iOS 11 has more new features this year than it did last year. But they are also announcing an iMac Pro, which is what they're calling their most powerful iMac ever, though I don't know that Pro users are going to like the idea of an iMac, because it can't necessarily be opened up and components can't be changed like with their Mac Pro. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes over. Obviously geared towards the very high-end professionals, because it's going to have Xeon processors and dedicated workstation GPU and up to that and so on and so forth. So not something that the home users will get. iPads updated this week, a new iPad Pro, and updates to the Mac and MacBook Pro lineup as well. So the question, though, that I said last week is, what will Apple do with Siri? Well, we really haven't heard if Siri is going to get smarter, but they are bringing out their Siri speaker this December, calling it the HomePod. It's basically going to be a way to listen to music and interact with Siri in your home without needing to use your device, obviously competing with the Google Home and Amazon Echo. Now, whether or not people adopt this, that'll be the big question, because it is double the price of the Alexa. And yeah, and we don't even know if Siri is going to get smarter by then. So it's kind of a tall ask at this point, and they're announcing the product 12 months before it's going to ship. So
everyone's going to forget about it.
Yeah, especially when you can get an Alexa for half the price. So, I mean, as much as I enjoyed seeing what was coming for iOS 11 this year, Apple really needs to focus on getting innovative again and stop copying features that come out from everyone else, Google, Amazon, and rather than focusing on making watch bands, instead focus on trying to make innovative products again.
I mean,
there's nothing innovative here.
They're still going to get sales.
Of course they are, but it's not innovative like it used to be. And that's the real key here, I think. So, I mean, I'll have an Informer article coming out about this later this month, but the only highlight really is some new features this time for iOS. So, I mean, watch update, watch faces, new watch bands. Come on, Apple, you can do better. So, any more thoughts on any of the Apple updates about the speaker or iOS or Apple losing its innovativeness?
Nope.
I think you're right, Shane. I would like to see them innovate again, but I don't know. Maybe they're past their time. I don't know. I hope not, because they're so monumental.
Right. And like you said, they get the accessibility the best for you when it comes to the phone, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah. And I wish I had learned how to use a Mac when I could have learned, because the stuff that I had to use special software for was already on a Mac. It was already there. You didn't have to do. I mean, we were so far behind on the PC end, but I just couldn't learn how to use a whole new computer stuff. So never did that. But yeah, their accessibility is top notch, second to none.
Another great thing coming to iOS is they're actually bringing a file manager to iOS now, so you'll be able to access all the files that you create in the various iOS apps, access Dropbox and iCloud data directly from this file manager, and it's actually going to support drag-and-drop file management, which is something people have wanted for a long time on iOS. So, there we go. They're also expanding out and allowing people to have a dock on the iPad. So this is a kind of a little bit of acknowledgement that the iPad needs to do more to compete with the Surface and become a laptop replacement, I think. Because File Manager and Dock, you're taking two of the very key things to the Mac experience right there. So iPads are definitely going to be more usable after this, and will remain to be seen if they move their way more into creation and production devices rather than just content consumption devices. So, but I'm very happy with the changes coming for iOS this year. All right. I believe you have our next piece of tech news, Tanis. You found this video saying that an Xbox Scorpio Edition will outperform a modern PC, which isn't really a surprise.
It could. There are some caveats with this. Now, this, yes, this came from the Know, which got it from a well-known Microsoft, somebody that writes about them. I forget what his name is. Anyway, what they're basing this off of is Steam's average user profile on what their rig is.
Right, the Valve hardware survey.
Right. And so most people on that survey have mid-range PCs. low to mid range. The Scorpio is really powerful. I mean, we're talking the most powerful console that's ever been developed.
Yeah.
But the thing that is really standing out, and I think why they were able to make such a bold claim, is that the Scorpio has native 4K resolution.
Right, at 60 FPS, and it's got to be guaranteed at that for the console.
Yes, and that is something that even a higher end PC isn't really, like, I don't have 4K.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to do that easily these days at modern settings. So, and I think that's true for most consoles, is that they initially outperform the PCs, but the PCs will catch up. And that's one thing that the modern Xboxes do, is that they're actually running x86 hardware. So in essence, they are effectively custom PCs running the Microsoft Xbox operating system.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm glad, because this is going to push consoles even further. When you're talking about just sheer power, it's, it hurts me, but it's stomping the PS4 Pro when it comes to just pure power.
And it's going to be able to interact with the TV and a tuner and all that stuff, as I talked about last month as well.
Yes, exactly. So it still remains to be seen on what the price point is, but don't get disheartened yet, all you PC master racers out there.
$399 or $499. That's my bet.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping.
$399 no Connect, $499 with Connect.
Okay. And that's still, you got to realize that they're subsidizing that. Essentially, they'll be taking a loss on that in order to sell you more stuff on the end. But the PC, you still have the advantage of being able to take out and replace and upgrade your components, which is something that
the PC is not going away. That's for certain.
Yeah. So but I thought it was really interesting, and I didn't realize that the average PC is a mid-range PC.
Oh yeah,
so
they're beaters. People don't upgrade them that often, but they still work.
Yeah, so I mean, I was surprised.
And I know, Magic, you can attest to this, is that you have a PC with integrated graphics, and it works just fine for playing games, right?
Yeah, surprisingly.
So, I mean,
it doesn't look the greatest, but it does what it needs to. It's kind of like driving the rusted out car from the 90s. It looks and sounds like shit, but it gets you from point A to point B.
That's all that matters.
Let's just hope that the computer doesn't spew smoke like some of those cars do.
Ooh.
All right. Well, that's good to know, and we're definitely going to be watching for E3 stuff next week. I know that'll be a big section on the tech news, just like Apple's WWDC was. But
yeah, can't wait.
Fingers crossed for Metroid Prime 4.
Oh, I'll cross my fingers with you for that. Let's hope.
All righty. Well, almost 2 hours in, and it's time to move on to some other things, including the Skill of the Month update for June, which is Slayer. We have the Lion 777 in first place with 5.2 million XP gained. Second place, we have Thieves with 4.3, and in third place, we have Tannis with 3.3 million XP gained.
Shape must be a pretty good race.
Yeah, it is. We have 10 people signed up, and 9 of the people have XP in here.
8.
Oh, oops, 8. I messed up my reading, but yeah. So going to be very interesting to see what everyone does with Menaphos and the new Slayer dungeon and what kind of XP can come out that. But the Lion has been maintaining a lead, and Thieves just passed you the other day, Tannis.
Yeah, Thieves looks like he dug in yesterday, so maybe that has to do with Menaphos.
Yeah, I also have some insider information about this contest, but I won't share that on this show right now. So.
Unsurprising.
All right, so some achievements of the week. I'll get us started here. We got Whitey with 120 Slayer on June 7th. Mad Hatter's 57 with 99 Slayer on the 7th. Fane with 99 Slayer also on the 7th. Garden Chick, 120 Slayer on the 7th. Messy with 120 Slayer also on the 7th. Lots of Slayer over the last couple days, it seems. I wonder why.
I have no idea.
I don't know. It's a mystery.
So on June 6th, Senreb got 99 crafting. Also on June 6th, Grimy Toastles got 99 crafting as well. On June 5th, Grimy Toastles also got 99 woodcutting. And on June 5th as well, Isorap got 99 invention.
Good job.
And on June 4th, I Like Slayer got 99 divination. Sunreb got 99 rune crafting on June 4th. Ollie the Wise got 99 Slayer on June the 4th. And
Let's see. Seabreeze24 got 99 Slayer on June 2nd. While our very own Shane12088 got 99 fishing. How's that feel, buddy?
Way to screw it up, Shane.
Yeah, that was an accident. I was doing my oyster and that happened.
Well, congratulations on there. And Grimy Tossles, 99 rune crafting on June 2nd. Wow, they were busy.
They really were.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, someone have a pick of the week for us this week?
Okay, so the pick of the week, Tuesday was my birthday, June 6th. And
happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy
and
birthday.
I got a couple Steam cards, and I was able to pick up Tekken 7. And as a long-time Tekken player, I mean, from the first PS1 all the way till now, great game. It kept everything that made Tekken awesome, and it added a little bit. It's got a great kind of story type of mode, more lore, tells you much more about the father son dynamic type of. It's very cool. And I have I've gotten literal crap kicked out of me online. So just like any other fighting game I've ever played. So,
all right. Yeah. So that was just the genre, or just Tekken 7 as the pick of the week then?
Tekken 7, that's my pick.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Very good. Very good.
I've never been too much for those fighting games, but hey, I mean, I always admire the people that can play them. In fact, on the most recent Amazing Race, one of the final challenges was that they had to beat a pro Korean gamer playing, I believe it was Ultimate Street Fighter or something.
Ooh, that'd be tough.
Yeah, it really was. It changed who came in first and whatnot. But
oh, wow.
Yeah. All right. So what have we been up to? Let's start with you, Mr. Bistro, since you're new this week.
Just doing some Slayer and really enjoying it since I've been able to get back into it. And that's about it in RuneScape, really.
All righty. Magic?
Mainly just exploring Menaphos.
Okay. Sounds good. Tannis?
I've been enjoying Menaphos and doing Slayer. I haven't had the time that I wished I had this week, and I especially haven't had the time that I wished I had to compete. But that being said, I'm still holding my own, and a month is a long time, so we're in it for the long haul.
All right. As for me this week, did a bit of Arc Invention before Menaphos came out. Got some XP in that. Did the monthly tutorial Island Oyster Distraction and Diversion, and got 99 fishing off that, as you can see. It wasn't entirely planned, and it just kind of happened. I wasn't planning on doing it, and that kind of goes to my maxing out of attrition. And after that, just been grinding out the reputation in Menaphos and aiming to do the quest. That's what my core objective of Menaphos is right now. And on the Iron Man character, I haven't gone back to that since Menaphos came out, but before that, I got to something along the lines of level 33 thieving and making my way to being able to pickpocket the master farmer to start get farming seeds. I'm already working with the farming stall, but yeah, that's what's happening on that character. Getting farming going. So, alrighty, well, that was a pretty full episode of RSBANDB Update. We'll have more on Menaphos next week, including the Crocodile Tears quest and any new Menaphos discoveries that we end up making. Until then, you guys have anything else?
I've got nothing.
No?
All right, thank you for sharing your time with us, listeners, and we will see you next week.
Bye.